Hello, listeners. If you haven't liked, subscribed, or followed the Sounds of Living podcast accounts, you could find us on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and Patreon at Sounds of Living Podcast. Any donation would be greatly appreciated to help support my journey of taking Sounds of Living around the United States. Thank you. Hello and welcome back to Sounds of Living. I'm your host today, Alex Kellerman, and I'm sitting here with Angel Galvan. Angel, say what's up.
Hey guys, how's it going? I'm Angel Galvan. I'm here doing this first podcast I've ever done.
Angel, how has music affected you?
Well, there's a lot of ways. It really just evolves with me. I'd say with anybody. It kind of just evolves that person, the way they grow. And I guess the music you listen to is pretty important too, because the way you perceive it, I'd say, the way you take it, the way you interpret the message that you get from that, it kind of just shapes the way you are, you know? It could motivate you, it could make you sad, it could give you different emotions, but it could also make you feel really powerful. So I'd say it's a really important tool that you can use.
For sure. So then, how has music played into who you are as a person? Like, tell us about yourself.
I'm a pretty hard worker, but I tend to procrastinate a lot. I guess I always also look for a challenge. I try to do challenging things, like hobbies that I did do growing up. At first, I really wasn't too good at any other sport except running, endurance running. So I did cross country in middle school, and I was the best one in my middle school. And all 3 years, I was able to qualify for the state championships, and I even got a scholarship to BC, but I stopped running with that too. But I also like skating. That was something pretty hard for me to pick up because I didn't really know how to skate at first, and I had to learn basically how to throw myself off a force there. And also like video editing. That's pretty cool. I like literally getting my own perspective, sharing my perspective, and creating something and putting it out there in the world so you guys can see as well.
Awesome. What do you like to video edit?
Well, most of the time I just go out either when I'm skating or just go out when I'm like on a road trip. If I see something that I know that I'm only going to see this one time in like my lifetime, I try to like record it and preserve it in the video because I know it's going to be something beautiful because I saw this one time. This single moment. It's not going to happen again, you know?
For sure. And what got you into that?
I guess just really trying to go back to saving some memories. I really do remember a lot of things, but it's really nice to just go back and see things how I wanted to see them, you know? Like, it's like seeing my own perspective all over again. I could really go back and visit a lot of old memories and just relive things.
Reliving the moments that you treasure are important to you.
Yeah, definitely.
So to go into your first pivotal point, you really like to listen to Trippie Redd. When did you first start listening to Trippie Redd?
When I did hear Wish from Trippie Redd, I just felt a different type of emotion because up to that point I kind of felt always happy, and then I guess it's just like a flip switch and I just felt a certain way after that.
So hearing Wish, can you tell me more about what genre Trippie Redd is even in?
Well, Trippie Redd's a rapper, like hip-hop. It was produced by Diplo, so Diplo made the beat. He's a DJ, and then he rapped, but he kind of added his own vocals, but was just kind of him speaking on him wishing that like he could just kind of go away for a little bit. Just because I guess at that point I was a little stressed because I was living with my mom at that point, and then she moved to Flagstaff, and that's why I was a little stressed. I was just like, damn, like I wish I could just go away with all this shit could just go back, and I could just continue going to school, like right here.
You felt that Trippie Redd was able to kind of understand what you were going through with your parents moving around, and
not in that sense. I guess just the wishing part. I feel like every single person has a different interpretation of the song, but that was my interpretation. I just kind of really wished for something else, like a different outcome, and that's I guess that's also always been my kind of mindset. I always kind of hope for the outcome that I wish for, you know.
So what did you want?
I just kind of wanted to stay there for a little bit, but they wanted to move to Flagstaff, so I just kind of stayed here. But I stayed here because, I mean, I had to get my college education, and I felt like I can actually do things for myself here.
So then, who'd you live with?
Oh, I live with my dad because my parents were separated since like I was like 2, but I just went with my dad from there.
How did that affect your relationship with your mom?
We talked a little less, but we still talk on a daily basis, so it didn't really strain it too much. It was a little stressful just having to like adjust to a new family, you know?
For sure. So it was just like this big change that you weren't familiar with.
Yeah.
And being able to cope with that, Trippie Redd was able to help you get through that with that song.
Yeah, but there were a lot of other songs as well that kind of helped me as well.
With Hearing Wish, were there other situations that were associated with that song during that time period of you being in middle school?
It was weird going from 8th grade to high school. Like, I don't know why that was so weird, but like you lost so many friends. And I don't know, for me at that point, that was the end of the world. And I really felt, damn, like I really don't want to just move to a new school and like have to adjust.
So this song was more about not wanting things to change.
Basically, yeah.
And wishing that you were with what you grew up with.
At that point, yeah. I mean, growing up, I didn't really have the best childhood, but up to that point, it was probably like...
You didn't know any better.
Yeah, I didn't know any better. So, I mean, I was like, dang, I don't want this to end. But... I mean, now that I'm a little older, I definitely see that I could have gone to Flagstaff and it would have been the same thing.
But it was that song that helped you get through it.
Yeah, definitely. Like, that song, like, helped me push through. Like, I feel now I could definitely have a different mindset compared to if I would have gone to Flagstaff. And I kind of prefer what I do have right now. I feel like being on my own a lot more. It gave me a lot more responsibility on my own because I had to be in Phoenix on my own because my dad worked like 80-hour weeks. So half the time I would literally just be chilling by myself, and I got a job, literally just hustling myself like 40 hours a week in high school. But it was okay. Like, I was able to juggle that, my sports, and high school still. So, I mean, that was pretty good. And I just felt like that taught me a lot more responsibility, too.
That's cool that you're able to learn how to have that self-confidence and take on more control of your life and taking more responsibility for what you do and how you go about things.
Yeah, and that's, like, the big part, too. Like, with music, that definitely, like, just gave me the confidence to, like... go for things that like if you really just envision things that you want to do, you can really just go for it and it'll happen, you know?
For sure. You said that transition period from 8th grade to high school. There was some new music that was coming about that you were listening to. Can you tell me more about Gus Dapperton and like how he played a role into that?
So, I mean, with Gus Dapperton, that was like directly right when my parents moved. So at that point, they literally just moved, and it was like probably the first month that I was still living in Phoenix, literally just with my brother in the same kind of place that we were at. But up to that point, I had qualified for my state championships. My first time, it was my sophomore year.
For what?
For cross country. From there, I kind of just listened to Gus. My friend kind of put me on. I had listened to him before, but I didn't really pay attention until I kind of listened to I'm Just Snacking.
Is that a song or album?
Yeah, it's a song. I really did enjoy it. I was talking to this girl. Her name was Lola, and she's the one that put me onto the song with Gus. But up to that point, I guess, it just got a little toxic. And we kind of just cut each other out all of a sudden. But still listening to Gus and everything, I felt like that kind of just helped me understand just the different aspects of his relationship and what he spoke about in his songs. And it kind of just made me want to avoid all of that too.
So did she put you on to Gus?
Yeah, she
Interesting.
did.
So something that she put you on,
I still do love. Yeah,
you ended up using to cope with it in a way.
Yeah, definitely. It was cool though, but like I really just kind of fell in love with Gus myself. She put me on with like one song. From there, I kind of just explored that other songs and albums, but I definitely have her to like say that she definitely put me on with that song for sure.
And what album by Gus did you feel the most connected to at that time?
Where the Pod People Go to Read, because it just had a whole bunch of subgenres of like different songs that you could listen to. Each one had different meaning, and you could like definitely like read into them. And I'd say just apply your own aspect of what you've seen in like other people's lives or in your own life. In that song, I guess you could see it really play out. It's a little indie. It was mostly, I guess, just talking about just pretty bad relationships that got pretty toxic, and different emotions that you would feel over a relationship, you know, a good relationship, bad relationship, just a lot of emotions you feel like just being with someone, you know.
What about that album made you cope and understand better of like what had happened between you and Lola?
Well, to be honest, it wasn't really with Lola. I'd say it was more with just seeing just so much infidelity, so much affairs, just growing up. I guess just that I could also just apply that with my own perspective, just growing up, you know?
So just trying to understand what was going on around you with
my own understanding with those songs, you know? Like, I could really just go back in time to my memories and then just use those songs to be like, this is what happened. And it did. I feel like, yeah, that's why I mentioned it's a tool. Like, you could definitely use it to just understand different emotions or just motivate yourself. I guess that's like the really cool part that I really used it for. Just kind of going back to memories, and then if I really did have anything kind of bothering me, addressing those things, but really understanding those emotions too, you know?
For sure. And how long was that process of understanding?
It really wasn't that long. I'd say over like that first year, kind of adjusting to myself, really just getting into the groove of it, because I kind of did fuck up a little bit. I feel like everybody fucks up pretty bad, but I guess that song just kind of helped me ground myself again. And so did Mac Miller. I guess that's where that next part goes in with like Mac Miller too.
For sure. So then with Gus Dapperton, you also had mentioned before we did this recording that it happened around the time right when COVID had started.
Yeah, correct.
Did you feel like he was able to help you cope with COVID as well?
Definitely. I feel like with COVID, it was so boring, bro. Like, I was literally just in my house the whole time. But having Gus and like different songs by him, new songs, something new, it definitely kept me entertained.
When Mac came into your life, what was going on? Like,
COVID lit off a little bit. So with Mac, up to that point, I really didn't smoke. But that's also when COVID started lifting up a little bit. From there, I kind of just started going to skate myself a little bit. I would always just literally skate by myself. And at that point, I was still going to Alhambra High School. But I saw that one of my classmates was still skating as well. So I just asked them if they wanted to skate. And it was like a group of 4 of us just skating. And it was our first day. We actually ended up just going to downtown Phoenix. And we literally were just skating all downtown Phoenix for like a good 2 hours. From there, we got a little bored of downtown Phoenix. So we just hopped back onto a light rail to Tempe. That was actually our first day filming. I wasn't the one filming, but we actually have it on film. It was our first day hanging out. And we went to a skate park in Tempe, and there's some cholo like skating over there, and he was leaving. But as he was leaving, he just like asked us if we wanted like an edible, and all my friends said no. I don't know why I said yes, but I said yes. And I took it, and for the good first 15 minutes, I didn't feel shit, and I was like, dude, I don't feel anything. Once we got back on that light rail, I was like so faded, but I remember like riding the light rail and skating, and then they told me to listen to Mac Miller, and like as I was skating like Tempe Town Lake, like I just remember my first time being high, like really, really high, like off that edible, just listening to Mac Miller. I was listening to Best Day Ever, so that was a pretty cool song.
So Mac became associated with you getting high.
To be honest, yeah. And then from there, I just remember, like, my second memory is just, like, listening to, like, a Mac Miller leak and, like, being in, like, the back of, like, Toyota Celica that's, like, straight piped, and it's just, like, loud as fuck, but you just hear Mac just bumping from the car. And it was, like, a cold December, so it was pretty cool.
And then how has marijuana played a role in your life since that point forward?
Since that point forward, well, from that, I didn't really start smoking too often. Like, I would only do edibles, and that was kind of just going on for a good 6 months. And then after like the good 6 months, I just got my first like disposable pen. But marijuana, at first, it was literally just to hang out with friends. Then I just started using it like once a week. Then I started using it every night, and then it became like a habit. But to be honest, it's also helped me. It really does help me kind of just focus, loosen up a little bit. Sometimes I feel a lot more nervous. Like, I can't really loosen up and like just be a little more goofy or like myself when I'm kind of sober, you know?
Yeah.
But I feel like that's why that kind of does help. Like, when I'm selling as well, I'm a little high too, bro.
Yeah.
So
No,
that's the
you're
cool
good.
part.
You're good, yeah.
And that's like the best part. Like I'm always literally like yesterday I sold like a $1,000 deal, bro. I was so faded, bro. Like
Yeah.
I was so faded.
A deal with what?
For EOS, like personal training.
Oh, okay.
So that was a cool part, bro. Weed's been helping me a lot, but I feel like I also need to chill out a little bit to have myself, build myself up sober.
Yeah. So Mac, he's influenced you to try to understand yourself using weed.
Yeah, I guess in that sense, to be honest, yeah, because when I first started like smoking, I would get so high to the point that I like I didn't have like any like control, like hand-eye coordination. But from there, like I just started smoking, and then it kind of helped me focus when I would go study, when I would go to work, when I would work out. I felt a lot of times that I would feel just nervous, and then my nerves would literally just like make me just fail at like either work. Like I would be at work and I'd be too nervous. I don't know why. Or I would be doing my homework and I would just not be able to think because I'm too nervous. Let's say like I took an edible or like started hit my pen like once. It like kind of just brought me down, and I was able to actually come up with different ideas. And that also did help me with my filming because it kind of just made me put my camera just like different angles, just weird awkward angles that like I know other people wouldn't use. And that's what kind of also helped me build my own perspective also when I'm filming.
So it had you hyper focus on what you wanted to think about.
Correct.
And how you wanted to go about things.
Definitely, yeah.
I understand that. So then, would you say that with marijuana being like a habit, something you use all the time, do you think you're going to continue to go about that for the rest of your life?
No, definitely not. I definitely want to stop. As of right now, like it's not really affecting me too bad. I mean, it really hasn't. I'm doing pretty good for myself. So I definitely want to stop though before I do like keep going for more things, because I don't want to bring it with me essentially all the time. But as of right now, it kind of just helps me because I am pretty stressed with all the work and school that I do. So that's kind of my thing that helps me chill out afterward.
You've talked about 3 different artists that have affected you, including Trippie Redd with the song Hearing Wish, and Gus Dapperton with the album Where Poly People Go to Read. Mac Miller and just his music in general, and how that all has come together to make you who you are. What is something that you think is important for everyone to know, just based off of your life experiences, that is important?
I'd probably just say it's crazy place out there. Just go for whatever you have in mind. Literally dream the craziest dream you want to think about and just go for that. I believe in anybody's dreams, to be honest. Like, if you really do work hard enough and you really want it that bad, I feel like you would get it, I feel everybody just needs to start doing the thing that they want to do. Just actually go for it. Just don't let the world kind of make you a little crazy, because the world is a little crazy too.
Well, I appreciate you taking the time to tell us your perspective on music and just your life experiences in general. I think everybody will benefit from hearing your perspective. So thank you.
For sure. Thank you so much for having me on here. I'll definitely be glad to be back on here with like a different perspective as well.
Awesome. Well, to wherever you are, I wish you happiness and good health, and we'll see you next episode on Sounds of Living.